Greetings, Guardians, my name is Bife here. So before we jump into this trailer, I want to let you all know that this is your spoiler warning. We're going to be talking about the new environment trailer for Neomuna that just released, and I know some of you are keen to keep yourselves unspoiled, so yeah, this is your warning, get out now. Also, I know, the audio, it sucks, I'm sorry. My computer had to go in for repairs, and this is what I've got. I've got a Blue Yeti and a laptop. So, yeah, this is what we have. We had to make sure we got content out to you guys, and, well, yeah, apologies. Hopefully the better audio setup will be back soon. There's a lot of speculation as well on topics like this, and lore bits that come through trailers in this aren't necessarily well defined, because that's the nature of trailers. So I wanted to give you all the typical warning about the fact that we will be doing some speculating in this video, but as per usual, speculation is only sometimes informative, but is often fun, hence why we're doing it. So, without any further delay, let's head to Neptune. So, first things first. Here at 10 to 12 seconds, we can see some of the ships of the Cabal, and I think they're worth pointing out because we know that the regalia of the Shadow Legion is now this steely black. The old Red Legion ships would have donned crimson, and Keitel's ascendancy has gone a kind of sky blue, but the ships under Callus's control now, as well as the control of the Witness, have been painted in black. Small, but it's an important signalling departure for the note of what these Cabal really are. They're not gold and purple in quite the same fashion as they used to be, and perhaps more importantly than that, it's a way of setting themselves aside from all other Cabal. They do not share their philosophy and ideology. From 13 to 19 seconds, you can see these Cloud Striders alongside our Guardians. It's unclear who's who, and we don't know much about the Cloud Striders at current, but we are relatively sure that one of the characters is called Nimbus, thanks to the Bungie Press Room website. If I remember correctly, the Cloud Striders operate in pairs. Given their shorter lifespans, it's up to the senior of the two to act as a sort of mentor to the other. I believe I'm remembering that correctly, but if I'm not, please go ahead and correct me down below in the comments section. It's clear that we'll be working with them to protect Neomuna and stop Callus, and it's made even more clear that they're, well, huge. I mean, look at them, they're so tall! As for the voiced character in this section, it's fairly uncertain who they are, but it's pretty clear that they are going to be one of the two Cloud Striders shown. Next up, I wanted to point out this frame here at 24 seconds with the Guardians approaching Callus's ship. It's a bit of an odd detail, and it shows clearly that Callus's ship has set down here on the edge of the city of Neomuna, and it's all actually something that I want to focus on because of the pyramid structure on the left being all skewed. That doesn't quite make sense to me. Whilst it's entirely possible that Callus did just set his ship down in the middle of the city, and all of its spires and skyscrapers be damned, I think there's also a solid possibility that it was grounded here. You see, the pyramid structures are all skewed, and that tells me that they did not come down deliberately. And the reason I see that and say that is because the only other place we've seen skewed pyramid structures is within the Disciples' Bog. And in that instance, that was a pyramid ship that had been brought down by Savathun's Curse of Light and had effectively trapped Rorke. You'll notice that in areas where he had re-established a degree of control, like the worm breeding grounds in the One Strike that we've got on GMs this rotation, you will be able to actually see most of those structures are actually upright, and they're actually standing properly. These things are skew-if, as are the things in Disciples' Bog which are deliberately trapped and sealed off there. If these structures are not well maintained, or if something's gone wrong, they are off to the side and skewed. If they are not in that position, and if everything's going fine, they tend to be very perpendicular, or to have very purposeful angles. This doesn't, and it makes me wonder if the ship was grounded and crashed. But again, that's just a little bit of an odd note. Here, from 26 to 32 seconds, we can see what Bungie is calling the Puka Pond. It's awesome to see a bunch of these creatures yet again, and we have more answers as, well, at least what they are is now clear, but sadly we still don't get a lot of answered questions about these different little things here. The thing is that It's not clear because we just don't know enough about them. They're congregating around a body of water, that much we know. But that doesn't really give us a hint as to whether they're indigenous to Neptune, for example, or whether there's something about them that has been engineered in some way. It doesn't tell us enough. All we know is that they congregate now, which in itself is cool. It could represent some kind of social aspect to the creatures that we don't know about just yet. But ultimately, we just don't know what the hell's going on here. So, yeah, Puka Pond is cool, but we still don't know enough about the Pukas to actually say anything. My bet is that they are somewhat mechanical and somewhat biological. Here at 36 seconds, it's worth pointing out that strange mesh layer in the sky. That is a very Vex-like aesthetic, and it's clear that the Vex have a place in Neomuna and in this expansion. We'll see more about the Vex later down the line in this trailer, and I'll tell you more in a bit, but for the moment remember that that mesh layer, and in particular the aesthetic that it's displaying, has been seen before. It's in particular been seen in the Season of the Splicer, in the Endless Night above the Lost City. At 38 seconds we see this tree, which is pretty cool, but cooler still is the stuff on the left, where we can see a banner that shows Osiris's glyph, as well as these mysterious yellow figures. We actually see some of these earlier in the trailer as well, in front of some of the Cloudstriders, which is interesting. I'm not sure what's going on there, but it's fair to say that Osiris will make a certain appearance within this expansion. I also think it's worth noting simply because of the fact that he's probably going to be the one that helps us discover Strand. So, yeah, that's pretty interesting to see, nonetheless. If we have got a Osiris vendor here, then it's possible that he might be the world vendor for all of Neomuna, although I don't put it past the possibility that we'd have that as a Cloudstrider instead. At 41 seconds, we see an odd little detail, but something that's very important. These Vex, they are not of the Sol Divisive. And that matters because it means they are not being controlled by the Witness. That means that this is a war on Neomuna that is being conducted on multiple fronts. This means that as well as us and the Cloudstriders, we're going to see the Shadow Legion contend with the Vex here as well. They seem to be less than a match for our Cloudstrider friends though, as referenced by the parts. It's worth pointing out, again here at 47 seconds, but we've seen glass cases like these before, both inside Rhulk's pyramid and in the Duality dungeon in Callus's mind. These contain Cabal, and the implications here are unpleasant. It's not clear if Callus is trying to conduct the same worm-bonding experiments that Rhulk did with the Hive, which granted them immortality in exchange for eternal servitude to the Witness, but the possibility alone here is enough to be of a concerning note. Here at 50 seconds, as the Guardians approach these black obelisks, it makes me wonder if in the shadows at the center of them there's a throne or not. Just in the middle here, between these two lights. Probably not, but regardless, this is a mixed Pyramid Tech and Cabal Tech CIC of a ship, similar to the Glycon, and it's definitely something to keep looking out for. This place will probably be important. At 55 seconds, we see this massive column of Strand. It's unclear why it's formed here, or if there's some kind of special property about this particular location that allows it to exist, but Strand pulls on the whole cross-dimensional thing that the darkness has going for it. So expect to see these show up more if there are tears between reality nearby, or perhaps if you hear Ghost talking about some kind of sterile neutrino scatter commonly associated with the Taken. From 56 seconds to 64 seconds, we get a good look at the Tormentors. This might be our first encounter with one as it happens in the game, and it's set in the middle of a hangar in the depths of Callus's ship. What's more, again here, is their ability to grab a Guardian and do what looks at least like draining their light or power in some fashion before they tumble off a cliff into infinity. I really hope that these are as menacing a challenge as Bungie has promised, because that's the kind of scale they're trying to live up to. The previous big showcase enemy encounter that we had was Hive Guardians, and whilst I know that we meme on them now, in actual narrative terms they're a huge deal, so fingers crossed they live up to that. At 72 seconds, we see something that once again indicates that the Vex are not allied to the Cabal of the Shadow Legion. It's this shot here with a bunch of Cabal assaulting a Vex position, in particular including a Vex Wyvern there at the back. Here's the interesting thing though, this is within the interior of the Vex network. This is within the domain. We may need help again from Mithrax if we're going to access the Vex network, but if we do, we'll end up going to some place that is likely settled long deep in there. And that's important, because if the Vex do have some kind of network entrance here on Neptune, the likelihood is, at least based on previous Vex installations, that they didn't have anything that wasn't there already. You see, the Vex have been on planets like Venus for millions of years, and it's likely that they have such places listed around the system. There are a few points at which it's very clear that they infiltrated. Mercury and Europa are two very good examples, but in other places like Mars and Venus, it's clear they've been there for a long time. So it's entirely possible that they were on Neptune long before the people of Neomuna ever existed. And if that's the case, maybe that's something to do with what the Witness's plans here are. It's not clear what the Witness wants, and maybe it has something to do with the Vex. Nothing important here, but at 74 seconds we can see a Guardian fighting inside an arcade. Personally, I hope they have old Bungie classics in there, such as Marathon, Pathways into Darkness, and Nop. You know Nop? It's not Pong, but it's, it's like Pong. Anyway, finally, we get to this last wide-angle shot of Callus's ship at about 1 minute and 30 seconds, and it shows us just how enormous that thing really is. It totally dwarfs some of the supporting pyramid ships that have been sent alongside it. This raises yet more questions about whether the pyramid ships of the Witness are all uniform sizes or not, but regardless, the mammoth size of this vessel is indicative of the power of the Shadow Legion. It's larger than any single ship in the system, probably, maybe with the exceptions of the Dreadnought and Leviathan, but even so, it's clear that the technology is far more advanced than either of those two ships. No matter what, it's going to be quite a fearsome contest entering and assaulting that thing. But that's all from me for now, and that's your analysis of this trailer. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, thank you very much. Go ahead and leave a like, and of course, as per usual, remember to leave your thoughts down below in the comments section, and you can hit subscribe and the bell next to subscribe to turn on email notifications and get videos from me when I don't have bad audio. Again, I'm so sorry about this, guys. In the meantime, though, that's all from me for now. Thank you so much, and as per usual, know that your viewership has always been quite enough for me, and that my name is Byf. Perodacia ad Astra. I'll see you, Starside.